This is the most common problem that I have women bring to me in relationship. It's also something that my guest today, Cian, who is my partner, and I struggle with at
Never.
times.
What are you talking about? I don't do that.
And we're going to talk about what do you do when a man you really care about says something really stupid? How do you deal with it? How common this is? How maybe you can handle it in a way that brings you closer instead of piles up and pushes you apart. And Cian, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Cian. I'm Christina's partner. I work in tech with startups. Yeah, I'm just really excited to be here and open the kimono.
Yeah. All right. So I'll start off with a concrete example. Most recently, I had a female client come to me. She said she went on a date with a man, and this man was really nice. He checked all the boxes. I think it was their second date. On the date, he did two things that caused her to not want to see him again. One, he told this really random, overshare, in her opinion, story about his ex-girlfriend, and it made her feel super weird. And the parts of the story he told, like, kind of called into question, you know, his character pretty much. And then he kind of why was he thinking so much about this woman on their date? He also kind of shared something sort of personal about that woman. And so then, you know, she's thinking, okay, is this how he's going to share about me if we're not together? Is he going to share my personal stuff with people? And so that happened. And then the other thing that happened was he, towards the end of the date, complained about how he felt, how he was busy. And then she got this feeling of well, I dressed up and I came out on this date and I put myself out there and I was nervous. And then now this man is complaining about being here with me. I talked to Cian about this because at times we struggle with him saying things that when I repeat it back to him, he can feel the charge for the first time, or how I heard it is completely different than how he felt when he said it. And then the last thing that I think is so relevant about this topic is there's dating movements like the Burned Haystack, and there's all this content targeted at women from other women on how to make sure that men don't disrespect you by analyzing what they say and assigning value to everything they say. I think this is one of the invisible things that is not talked about well online, but I don't know any woman that relates with men who has not struggled with this at some times. And I do not know any man who hasn't been caught in this trap of his own making, in my opinion.
The first thing I'll say is there is a vast difference between how men and women operate, how we interact with the world, what our interior experience is like. I think the simplest way to explain my perspective on that is that men tend to be bound to the realm of thought. Well, it's very rational, very structured. If I hear a topic, I'll find a cluster of topics that are related to that topic, and I'll just spider into one of those without necessarily doing what women do, which is living in the realm of emotions, saying what you feel, and feeling what the other person is going to feel when you say it.
Playing out that secondary part where you're oh my gosh, how will this make this other person feel? So two things you said that I think are really important and apply to everybody is, one, I think the things you said that have upset me the most are at times where you're feeling incredibly comfortable. We're in bed, we're snuggled up, and then something is said that I'm whoa. And you in that moment are just so relaxed with me.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? So men like me have learned that, considering the emotions of others, considering the impact of what we say is an important thing. But there's a process we have to implement to do that, right? It's like check and balance. It's before I say anything, I'm going to run it through this filter. I'm going to structurally, logically evaluate potential impacts that these words could have on somebody. Possibility 1, possibility 2, possibility 3. And I'm going to say, okay, what's the risk of those? Evaluate the risk and filter it out. When we're in bed and we're talking to each other and I'm relaxed, a lot of those filters just drop, right? And I'm just riffing with you. I'm trying to describe something rather complex, in one word, and the one word I chose is really bad.
So from me so up until this, our relationship, I had been a little brutal in these moments because I had a lot of fear of men and fear that men would ruin my life. Picking the wrong man would, cause me to be in a situation where at some point I wasn't valued, maybe as I got older or something, right? That I would be not valued and that my life would be worse than being single. And so when a man would say something unconscious to me, I would immediately hugely disqualify him. But I really like seeing I've hung in there long enough to listen to you. I also have a lot of respect for you. And so I think I had a curiosity about what you said doesn't seem reflective of your worldview about women or me or about the relationship you want with me, because we're both matured and want something different with each other than we've had before. I think that's pretty common, and especially in your 40s. I've approached you with more curiosity. And then I think the second thing is you've allowed me my emotions about it to just be what they are. And in those two ways, I've learned a lot. And I guess one of the things you just said was, it was never occurred to me, even once, that a man saying a series of things on a date where you're just why did I often say Todd, why did that Todd share all that crap about his ex-wife and his trip with his ex-girlfriend to this romantic location, and then he complained about his shoes? What in the hell? But he doesn't value me at all. And I think it's interesting to think about oh, he felt super comfortable. I made him feel so comfortable.
There's also it's I'll say this, it's not always comfort. I've meditated a lot, and so I have a lot more capacity to structure my communications because of the level of awareness that I've been cultivating. But even with that, I still have moments, maybe not even relaxed moments where just my awareness drops. And then maybe I say something. It's not always bad, but there are many, many unconscious moments that I have. And I've trained awareness. Going back to your client here, this guy, it's possible he was very comfortable. It's also possible that he just was in an unconscious moment, which I think happens quite a lot for people.
So here's the pushback, right? Is you have these entire dating methods like Burn Haystack, which is all about analyzing rhetorical patterns that men use in phrases on dating apps and disqualifying them for the 10 or 12 patterns that are really popular. I'm relentlessly, right? Just being no, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not, and some of them I really agree with, right? Some of them are valuable, but women might say to what you just said, they might say, well, if you have these unconscious feelings and thoughts, say a man shares something about his ex-girlfriend sexually, and when he's called out on it, he's oh, sorry, I shouldn't have shared that detail about sex with her. That probably made you feel bad, and it probably he owns it, but you're still left with this feeling of, wow, his character or his nature is that's what he believes about women, or he believes that that's an okay thing to share about a past partner and her body. How do you deal with the idea that when someone says something, whether it's conscious or not, that the unconscious statement is actually a reflection of their deeper value systems? Because I think that's where I get hung up.
I think you're right. When you start dating somebody, you're not just dating their conscious mind. You're dating their shadow and their ego. And there is some truth to a lot of the character is built in the shadow. You do have to decide if this particular person's shadow is something you can work with. Everyone's going to have this. Everyone's going to have unconscious moments.
Well, it reminds me of something that a woman I really respect who'd been married a long time said to me. She said her and her husband had 2 kids, and they had this very equal relationship where they talked about everything. And one weekend afternoon, he said, "Who's watching the kids today?" And she said, "Oh, I have to work." And he said, "Oh, I had planned something else." And he was like, "Why am I watching your kids all the time?" And she was like, my heart dropped to the floor. I was like, oh my God, I've had kids with a monster, right? He's finally revealed himself. And she was like, but he was also shocked that that came out of his mouth. And she was like, I think part of my relationship success with him has been realizing that these like shadow, as you would call it, but like these systems and programs live in all of us. Right? There's parts of me that are very biased against men, and that comes out sometimes in our interaction. And there's parts of you that have these unconscious beliefs about women and sex and all these things, and that comes out sometimes, right?
There are these emulsions from the shadow. Right?
Yes.
And I think like just playing off of that a little bit, the resilient thing is not does this person have these sort of things, because you will find that nearly everyone does.
Yeah.
I know highly trained monks who still have this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, how is it handled? Right?
Yeah.
If you just accept that, one, everyone's going to have some shadow expressions or emotions, and two, we're going to have to handle them, and three, can I accept the ones that are there, and how are they handled?
Yeah. And
Right?
yeah, do I see growth, right? Do I see like any movement?
Or is there just defense?
Yeah.
Right? Am I safe to actually bring it up and talk about it, or does that process just get shut down right away?
I will say, I probably, before our relationship, I feel like you have a certain level at which you would accept a conversation with me or you would not, right? And so you hold a pretty high bar for how you want your partner to interact with you. You've done a lot of self-work. So that has helped me know that if I want to stay in a relationship with you and I have a problem, I need to come to you in a way that's still like I can be really upset, but I'm not like, oh, you're bad.
Attacking.
Yeah, I'm like, this really hurt me. I can't believe this happened. But I'm not, oh, you are bad. Like, this is proof you're bad, right? And I think in the past I was doing that. I don't think I had dealt enough with my, let's call it man trauma, to talk to any man in a way that didn't, I was like always looking for him to be bad. And that's maybe my pushback against taking on too much internet information like Burned Haystack or similar types of ideologies. Because like it trains you.
The assumption is that they're bad.
Yeah, to assign character to something. And what I've recognized is through having like curiosity and expressing my emotion, I'm giving you a new experience in relationship where you can get feedback on like maybe for the first time at this age, right? In this stage of life, in this maturity level, you can get feedback of like my worldview and my experience as a woman and how something you said made me feel or how a story you shared made me feel. I'm super sensitive.
Certainly, being with you has given me what I'd say is a very unique view into the interior experience of a woman's world that I had not had before. I mean, there's countless things that you have brought up to me that frankly have been shocking. Not shocking in a bad way though, but shocking in like, oh wow, if I had known this 10 years ago, my life would be really different.
Yeah.
You know, shocking in the how have I not had this kind of feedback or experience or training or something that would have allowed me to shift behavior.
And I have seen that. I'm like, whoa, he's having experiences with me that maybe he's just ready to listen, and maybe I'm ready to convey it in a way that means I overall believe in you. But whatever the mix is, it's good for us. And I guess it makes me think about, okay, so you're out there dating, you're looking for a partner, and there's lots of men who they haven't had a really positive, high-boundaried female experience, so that they really don't know. Then they're getting all this information on the internet that's like, oh, she should be fine with anything you do, or she's controlling. They're in the dark as to why certain women don't even see them as potential partners at all. And they're in the dark about the impact of what they're saying and doing. And it would be really easy for me to be like, that's not my job. and to be like that silent labor. I think something that has been positive is for me to kind of just accept that this is the relationship I want to be in. These are the situations we're dealing with, and to kind of put the rest of it out of my mind and just be in the present moment with Cian. And if I was giving someone advice, no other human is going to respond well to you if they feel like you think they're bad. So it's not going to work with anyone.
The walls go up.
You can try, but impossible. 2, I think women are way better at hiding their shadow, which isn't always positive. There's all these things that a lot women are trained, far better trained to hide. And so you have to question yourself, is it better to be the partner that says things that are hurtful sometimes because you're not hiding things? Or is it better to be the partner who's constantly surveying everything you say? There's somewhere in the middle that's ideal. And I guess the last thing I would say is that I think something really interesting for both of us is we have like really high tolerance for each other. We have like, we're like super forgiving and tolerant of each other. And we don't judge each other by external metrics. And I think that's the only way that this works, right?
It seems to be working.
Yeah, at some point you just have to be like, yeah, this is the person I want, and this is all the stuff they come with. And that can be hard with all the modern like messaging about relationships. But yeah, sometimes you say things that are hurtful, and then I have to deal with it.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for, taking me on this journey, showing me things that I would have never learned from any other women, have never learned. I kind of have this like little inside joke of how good it is dating a relationship coach.
And from my perspective, I feel like I don't coach you at all. I have like a personal commitment to not coaching or mothering you.
No, not at all.
But I do also have a personal commitment towards always coming to you with curiosity and belief in you. And that maybe is like the only thing I have to worry about is like, am I showing this other human that I fundamentally believe in him? And then does that come through all the time? And do I take responsibility for the part of my reaction to some? We talk about this. Sometimes the stuff you say rolls into this, like all my own fears. And so at that point, then am I taking responsibility for how it impacted me? Yes. Yeah. It's getting to the place where you're healthy enough to believe in men and then giving them a chance. I think it's worked for us.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.